There is a secret many people miss, not because it is hidden, but because it is simple. You have been told to think positively, to visualize, to write affirmations, but few ever told you this. None of it works unless you feel it. I am here to teach you how to feel it. Because once you learn, the world will yield to your touch. You must learn to feel from the end, not of it. There is a difference. Feeling of the end keeps it at a distance. You say, one day I'll have it, but feeling from the end means it is already mine. Close your eyes now, not to escape the world, but to command it. Imagine your desire fulfilled. See the scene clearly. But now go deeper. How does it feel? What's in your heart? Is it calm? Is it joy? Is it gratitude? If not, you are only playing with shadows. But if your chest expands, your spine straightens, and tears nearly come, not from sadness, but from realization, then you are there. You are in the state. That state is the only thing you must seek. For when you dwell in the state, the facts of your life will bend to match it. Your senses may argue, your bank account may mock you, your surroundings may look unchanged. But ignore them. The outer world is always late to the party your inner world began. You must persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Feel it before you see it. Feel it until you cannot unfeel it. And then, quietly, the world will echo back what you accepted as true. It may seem mysterious, but it is law. The universe responds to your inner conviction, not your outward complaint. So feel rich, feel loved, feel successful, feel chosen. How to feel it? Not with effort, but with surrender. Not with force, but with faith. Do not try to manipulate the how or the when. That is not your concern. Your only task is this: assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and dwell there. If you can feel it, you can live it. And if you persist in that feeling long enough, the world has no choice. It must mirror you back. Your world does not change simply because you wish it to. It does not transform through idle thoughts or half-hearted daydreams. The power lies not in the thought itself, but in the feeling that breathes life into the thought. Feeling is the secret bridge between what is invisible and what becomes visible. It is the sacred passageway between the unseen and the seen, the internal and the external, the desire and the manifestation. You can sit in silence for hours, repeating affirmations. You can visualize a beautiful life in your mind's eye. But if there is no emotional charge, if your heart does not stir, if your spirit does not rise in response, then all you've done is entertain an idea. The idea remains hollow, untouched by the power that could have made it real. It is the feeling that gives it weight, gravity, and substance. To think, I am wealthy, without feeling wealthy, is to walk in circles. You may say the words, but if your inner self contradicts them, if your stomach tightens in fear when you open your bank account, or your breath shortens at the sight of a bill, then you are not truly creating. You are affirming lack, even as you speak abundance. Your emotional state is your creative state. It is your inner world that sets the tone and pattern for the outer world to follow. The universe is not listening to your words. It is responding to your vibration. And that vibration is shaped entirely by how you feel. This is why the truth cannot be found through logic alone. The mind may argue, it may present all the reasons why something cannot happen. But when a feeling arises that says, it is already done, the mind falls silent. Feeling bypasses logic. It does not beg for approval or permission. It declares. It knows. Think about something you truly love. A person, a moment, a place that brought you peace. You do not think your way into that memory. You feel it. And when you feel it, it becomes real again, even if just for a moment. The body reacts. The heart softens. The eyes may well with tears. Why? Because feeling makes the invisible tangible. Likewise, to create your future, you must enter into the emotional experience of it now. Not later, not after the condition changes, but now. If you would be loved, feel the warmth of love now. Walk as though you are cherished. Move as though you are seen. Speak as though someone is listening to your soul. If you desire freedom, then let freedom become your present atmosphere, not tomorrow. Now, feel the release, the space, the lightness of having already arrived. It is this feeling that instructs your subconscious mind. And your subconscious is the womb of reality. It does not argue or judge. It only accepts the feeling as fact and moves mountains to match the inner with the outer. You must feel it in the marrow of your being, not just in the surface of the mind. Let it drop down into your chest, into your belly, into your bones. Let it become more real to you than what your eyes see or your ears hear. That is the secret of true creation. That is how the bridge is crossed. Your thoughts may come and go, flickering like shadows, but your feelings, they carve paths in your being. They shape your posture, your tone, your energy. They tell the world who you believe you are, and the world listens. When you truly feel the reality of your desire fulfilled, the world begins to shift, quietly, invisibly, but inevitably. The bridge is crossed. The unseen becomes seen, not by chance, but by law. And all because you dared to feel it first. To assume the state of the wish fulfilled is to enter the realm where your desire is no longer a question but a fact. It is not something you are trying to achieve, it is something you already possess in the unseen world. You walk, speak, and feel from that reality, not toward it. This is the great secret. You are not to wait for the evidence to believe. You are to believe so fully, so completely, that the evidence has no choice but to appear. Living in the end is not a passive state of imagination. It is active. It is vivid. It is emotionally charged. It means that you stop thinking of your desire and begin thinking from it. There is a profound difference. Thinking of your desire still leaves it separate from you. It keeps it in the future, in a state of longing, of hope. But thinking from your desire is an act of inner acceptance. It means the desire has already been received in your imagination, and therefore it exists now in truth. Your imagination is not fiction. It is the first stage of creation. Everything you now see around you began as a thought, accepted as real by someone. A home, a painting, a piece of music, a business, a relationship, they all had to be imagined and believed in before they were seen. And so it is with your life. To change it, you do not wrestle with outer conditions. You withdraw your attention from what is and place it firmly upon what will be, as if it already is. You do not ask, when will it happen? That question only reveals doubt. You do not beg. You do not chase. You enter the scene mentally where your desire has already come true and you dwell there. You feel what you would feel if it were already done. You see yourself from the new perspective, and you repeat this inner experience until it hardens into fact. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined with feeling. It simply accepts what you feel to be true and brings it forth in your reality. This is why the inner assumption is so powerful. Once you assume a thing to be true, life rearranges itself to support that assumption. If you desire love, do not wait to be loved. Assume the state of being deeply loved now. Carry yourself with the ease, confidence, and softness of one who is adored. If you desire abundance, do not wait for the money to appear. Assume the state of one who always has enough, who feels secure, who is generous and grateful. That state is the seed. The feeling is the key. And once planted, it must grow. Do not be fooled by appearances. What you see with your eyes today is nothing but the echo of a previous state. If you wish to see a new world, you must first change the state within you. The external always mirrors the internal. You cannot live in lack inwardly and expect prosperity outwardly. You cannot feel lonely and call it love. The outer world is simply the shadow of your inner world. So the command is simple, though not always easy. Assume the state. If you were already the person you long to be, how would you walk? How would you talk? How would you rise in the morning and lie down at night? Begin there. Not tomorrow. Now. This is the doorway. Faith is not blind when it rests in imagination. It is a knowing. And once you know within yourself that a thing is true, it becomes your new center of being. Life must answer. You do not wait to be chosen. You already are. You do not ask for the promise. You already hold it. The state of the wish fulfilled is not a future hope. It is a present reality in the unseen. And once it is assumed, it must come forth. Because what you feel to be true within a conviction becomes truth in your world. Imagination is not a mere fantasy. It is not a tool reserved for children or dreamers. It is in truth the first reality. Everything you now see around you, every object, every structure, every relationship, every circumstance, first existed in someone's imagination. It was conceived, felt, and believed before it ever found expression in the visible world. There is no other way creation happens. The outer world is simply the reflection of the inner world. What you dare to imagine, combined with feeling, becomes the foundation upon which your life is built. You may believe that reality is fixed, that the world happens to you, but this is not the truth. The world you encounter is shaped by the images you hold within. The true source of life's events is not in the physical, but in the unseen. Your imagination. It is the workshop of your soul. There in silence, without needing anything from the outside, you can begin the process of transformation. But imagination alone is not enough. You cannot merely think of a better life or visualize a new outcome in vague, detached pictures. For imagination to create, it must be alive with feeling. Emotion is what breathes life into the image. Feeling gives it form, texture, weight, and presence. Without feeling, imagination remains a shadow. With feeling, it becomes reality. Suppose you imagine yourself successful. You close your eyes and see yourself in a position of honor, abundance, and fulfillment. That is a good beginning, but if you do not feel it, if you do not allow the joy, pride, gratitude, or peace of that state to fill your body, then the image is only a sketch. It lacks the essence that makes it real to your subconscious. It will not plant deeply enough to take root. Your subconscious mind does not respond to words or vague ideas. It responds to the emotional charge behind the image. This is why it is not the one who imagines the most that creates the most. It is the one who imagines with feeling. When the inner experience becomes more vivid than the outer world, then change begins. Creation does not start in the future, it begins now within. The world does not first move and then you react. No, you move within and then the world follows. You carry the power of creation within you, always. There is no condition outside of you that is more powerful than your imagination filled with feeling. Do not wait for science. The sign is within you. If you can imagine a new life and feel it to be real, then you are already on the path to it. The outer world may not shift immediately, but do not be deceived by appearances. The seed has been planted, and all things brought into being must begin with the invisible. That is the law. Think of yourself as an artist of your reality. The mind provides the brush, the imagination the color, and the feeling. The feeling is the substance. It is the invisible clay that molds the future. If you desire love, feel loved. If you desire wealth, feel secure and abundant. Not later, but now. The feeling now is what creates the reality later. There is no limit to what you can imagine, and thus no limit to what you can create. But you must dare to enter the scene of your fulfilled desire and dwell there with emotion. Stay in the feeling. Revisit it until it feels familiar, until it feels natural. Then you will know that creation has begun. What you feel deeply in imagination will crystallize in your world. Imagination is not a preview. It is the act itself. Feel it fully, and the universe will conform. All things begin with an image, and the moment you believe in that image with feeling, the unseen becomes the seen. The principle that one cannot desire what one does not already possess finds its basis in the structure of human consciousness and the process of psychological projection. Empirical studies in cognitive science and behavioral psychology support the idea that desire is not arbitrary, but emerges from an internal recognition, conscious or unconscious, of a latent state. In this context, desire functions not as a signal of absence, but as evidence of a reality already contained within the individual's identity or mental framework. To understand this, consider how the brain identifies goals. Cognitive neuroscience has demonstrated that the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for decision-making and planning, activates when individuals imagine or simulate future experiences. However, this simulation is based on existing neural patterns. The brain cannot fabricate something entirely unknown. Rather, it recombines known inputs into new configuration. Therefore, when a person desires something, be it success, love, health, or security, the desire reflects a configuration of internal data already present in some form. This is supported by the psychological construct of self-concept. Self-concept theory posits that individuals are drawn towards states that align with their perceived identity. In other words, a person who desires to be a leader likely has some internal model of leadership within their conceptual framework, either through personal traits, exposure, or internalized values. The desire is a reflection of an internalized potential, not an external vacancy. Data from developmental psychology show that early exposure and environment shape what individuals come to desire. A child raised around music may develop a strong desire to play an instrument. The desire, while seemingly external, is cultivated through repeated exposure and neural encoding. This pattern suggests that desire is evidence of internal possession, shaped, stored, and ready to be activated. In terms of phenomenological experience, the urge or longing for a particular outcome often emerges from a mental rehearsal of having already achieved or experienced that state. Mental imagery research confirms that visualizing a desired state engages the same neurological circuits as the actual experience. This overlap suggests that the brain does not differentiate sharply between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Therefore, the desire is a byproduct of an inner experience that has already occurred at the sensory level. The principle is also evident in behavior economics, particularly in the concept of revealed preference. People's choices often reflect deeper desires they already possess internally. When an individual chooses to pursue a specific career, partner, or lifestyle, It is not merely in pursuit of something unknown. It is a manifestation of values, preferences, and psychological conditions already present. Thus, the act of desiring is an expression of existing internal content. From a logical standpoint, one cannot formulate a specific desire for something without having a conceptual or emotional reference point for it. For instance, an individual does not desire an abstract object with no known attributes. They desire a specific condition, peace, recognition, safety, because they already hold an internal definition and emotional resonance with that state. This aligns with the philosophical concept that desire is the memory of the future, an internal certainty projected forward in time. The emergence of desire is not indicative of a lack but of a latent ownership. It acts as confirmation of an internal resource, talent, or condition that is seeking external expression. Recognizing desire as evidence of possession reframes the way individuals relate to their goals, not as remote targets, but as extensions of what they already are. This model encourages alignment between inner belief and external action, underlining the foundational psychological truth that people do not move toward what they lack, but rather what they are already equipped to manifest. Emotion is not a fleeting reaction or a random storm of feelings. It is the language of the subconscious mind, the silent force that activates the inner world and commands the outer. While thought initiates direction, it is emotion that carries power. You may think endlessly about change, about wealth, about love, about healing, but unless you feel these truths within you, nothing truly moves. The subconscious, which governs nearly every aspect of your outer experience, responds only to emotion, not logic, not repetition alone, but the vibrational energy of what you deeply feel to be true. It is feeling that impresses upon the subconscious. Thought without feeling is sterile. You can repeat 1,000 affirmations, but if you say them mechanically without conviction or emotion, they pass like wind through the trees. The subconscious does not record words, it records states. And emotion is the stamp of your inner state. When you feel something deeply, you are telling your subconscious this is real, and the subconscious, unable to distinguish between what is outer fact and inner conviction, accepts it as true and moves all things to reflect it. This is why people who dwell in states of fear, anxiety, or lack continue to attract circumstances that match those emotions. It is not punishment, it is law. The emotional state you dwell in becomes the pattern the world must conform to. If you consistently feel unworthy, the world reflects it. If you feel poor, the world affirms it. But the opposite is also true. When you feel abundant, even without physical proof, the world must begin to reflect abundance. When you feel loved, even in solitude, love begins to make its way to you. There is no delay in the language of emotion. What you feel now is creating your tomorrow. Emotion is not a reaction to what happens. It is the cause of what happens. The world is your mirror, and the image it reflects is shaped by the emotional vibration you offer. If you want to change the image, you must change the feeling. It is not enough to wait for conditions to change so you can feel better. That is backward. You must feel better so the conditions can change. This is the secret that many overlook. They try to think their way into a new life. They read, they plan, they speak, but their hearts remain in the same emotional state. They are still worried, still doubtful, still afraid. And the subconscious, obedient and precise, continues to manifest a world that matches the dominant emotional climate. It is not thought alone that moves mountains. It is thought married to feeling. When you think abundance and feel it, when you think love and feel it. When you think healing and feel it, then the creative process is set into motion. The subconscious is always listening, but it hears only feeling, and not brief surface level feeling, but the deep habitual emotion that you return to day after day. What you feel persistently is what you become. That is why guarding your emotional state is the highest form of self-mastery. You must treat your feelings like sacred instruments. Tune them to what you want, not to what you fear. If you want peace, feel peace. If you want joy, feel joy now, not later, now. The present feeling is the seed of future experience. And you can train this. Emotion is not beyond your control. You can, through imagination, assume the feeling of your desired state and dwell in it. Close your eyes and feel what it would be like if your dream were real. Not just see it, feel it. How would you walk? What would your inner atmosphere be? Dwell there. Let that emotion rise and spread. In that moment, you are creating, you are activating the inner world, and the outer world has no choice but to respond. Motion is the key, the activator, the engine of transformation. To change your world, change your inner vibration. Do not wait, begin now. Feel differently, and the world will follow. You do not become what you want. You become what you accept as true. This is the secret that governs the seen and the unseen. It is not the loudness of your desire that determines its manifestation, but the quiet conviction that what you seek is already yours. The world around you is plastic to your inner assumptions. It bends, shifts, and aligns itself to what you believe, not superficially, but deeply, emotionally, and persistently. Assumption is not daydreaming. It is not idle wishing. Assumption is a conscious choice to occupy a state of being before you have physical evidence. It is saying, I am, and refusing to contradict it with, I hope, or maybe someday. The moment you accept something as true without needing proof, without needing permission, you begin to embody it. And once you embody it, your world must follow. The law is clear. The inner shapes the outer. The unseen precedes the seen. And your assumption is the blueprint the universe follows. Now, most people live their lives assuming things they do not want. They assume they are unlucky, that things never work out for them, that abundance is reserved for others. And they are not wrong. They are simply unconscious creators. The world does not reward desire, it rewards belief. If someone believes deeply that life is difficult, the world will echo it. If another believes life is effortless and kind, that too becomes their experience. What you consistently accept as true becomes law in your reality. Your assumptions speak to the subconscious mind, which does not question or reason. It receives your inner state as instruction and moves in the direction you have set. If you assume you are loved, you begin to act, speak, and carry yourself differently. Your energy changes and people respond to it. If you assume wealth, you begin to make decisions that match that frequency. Opportunities arise not because they were not there before, but because now you are aligned to see and receive them. The beauty of this principle is that you do not need to wait. You do not need the world to show you evidence before you believe. You need only believe, and the world must conform. The power lies within you right now. Your circumstances do not matter. They are echoes of old assumptions. You can change everything by changing what you accept as true. But this requires persistence. It is not a one-time declaration. It is the daily embodiment. You must live in the state of your assumption as if it were already fact. Walk as the person you wish to be. Speak from the end, not the middle. Do not explain your way out of your desire. Do not entertain doubt under the guise of being realistic. Reality as you know it is only the outpicturing of your inner states. Change the inner, and the outer must follow. You must feel the truth of your assumption so vividly that it becomes more real to you than the facts in front of you. Facts change, assumptions remain, until replaced. A man in rags who assumes himself to be wealthy will not remain in rags for long. A woman who assumes herself to be radiant and loved will not remain invisible. Your assumption is your seed. Nourish it with feeling, persistence, and inner attention, and it will bloom into form. Nothing stands between you and the life you desire except your belief that it is not yet yours. Once you drop that belief, once you claim the end with full heart and mind, everything begins to shift. Life reorganizes itself to fit the new truth you have accepted. It is not magic, it is law. You become what you accept as true. Choose wisely, assume boldly, live faithfully in your new state, and the world will mirror it without fail. This profound truth: your inner world is the architect of your outer reality. The assumptions you hold, the feelings you nurture, and the beliefs you accept shape every experience you encounter. You are not merely a passive observer of life, but an active creator, empowered to mold your world from within. When you truly embody your desires as if they are already fulfilled, when your feelings resonate deeply with your vision, the universe has no choice but to respond. This is the power you carry, the power to transform, to manifest, and to live as the highest expression of your being. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you today. May you walk forward with the certainty that what you assume and feel as true is already yours. Embrace that truth and watch your life unfold in miraculous ways.